Okie doke. Let's see how this works with the microphone. Visor down. In the sunshine. Coming down Brick Street, turning right onto London Road. What time is it? It's almost 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock, heading home. Gonna put the visor down, it's a bit sunny. This is the centre of Bridgeton, which is just to the east of Glasgow city centre. There's the bandstand, and there's Greg's. Woohoo! So if I carry on straight along here, I'm heading in the direction of Glasgow, and I'll pass the area called the Commuting, where Janie Godley had her bar a long time ago. And I'll also pass, just on the left-hand side here, the Templeton Biscuit Factory, Templeton Carpet Factory, which is now a huge business complex for small to medium-sized businesses. Audra were in there for a long time. I think Audra are in the middle of town now. But it's a great place for starting a business. On the right is the Culton Bar, which was the Weavers Inn, which Janie ran in the 70s and 80s, certainly in the 80s. Left in the 90s. What we're coming up to now is the Barras and St Alphonsus Church, which is right on the side just as we come across here. But the Barras is just in behind all those buildings on the right-hand side. You can see some of them just there. The weekend, on a Saturday and Sunday, well, it's not quite as teeming as it used to be, but it's pretty busy still. And around here, to the left, if I went down to the left, I'd be going to the road next to Glasgow Green, but I'm going to go straight ahead to Glasgow Cross and see what we can see there. Wait for the lights. This building on the right-hand side here, that one there, I think is one of the oldest buildings in Glasgow. And what we're coming up to now is Glasgow Cross, which again is one of the oldest areas of Glasgow, where there was actually a toll here where you had to pay before you could get into town. So there was a toll booth, and in fact there's a toll booth bar on the left-hand side. Where we're going to go down, the Salt Market. The Salt Market goes from Glasgow Cross all the way down to the River Clyde, and on the River Clyde you would have ships loading and unloading. Originally, maybe 1,000 years ago, 800 years ago, with fish, and then all sorts of other products in the meantime. But the salt market here is mostly known in the last 100 years for the High Court that you can see ahead of us. That's the old High Court. On the right-hand side is what used to be the mortuary, and behind that is the new High Court. And as you can see on the left is Glasgow Green with the huge arch there. The lights are going to green. So we're now crossing the River Clyde. There is a weir just on the left-hand side there that keeps the river behind that weir all at the same level for boats and for sculling, or not quite canoeing, but rowing clubs are up there, and that keeps the water at the perfectly level height. We're now entering the Gorbals. Oh, it's a bit bumpy. So this is not the Gorbals as people might remember it. It's much poshified now. Gorbals is synonymous in lots of places with the rough end of Glasgow, but it's not rough at all now. Certainly not the way it looks. I've not stayed here, so I can't say just how rough it is to live. I think it'd be absolutely fine. The flats around here, the buildings are very fancy. Just on to the right-hand side there is where the new Citizen Theatre is. It's the same theatre, but they've just last week revivified it, so it's all fancy. This shell of a church with a tower straight ahead of us, I think was Alexander Greek Thompson, and I don't think it actually worked or was practiced ever as a working church, but is there as a monument now. As you can see, the flats on the left-hand side and the Gorbals are much fancier than you might imagine. I don't see anyone running around with swords and knives, so not the Gorbals you might have heard of. This site on the left used to be occupied by Castle Cash and Carry, but I think there's going to be more flats and shops just shortly. And on the right, as we pass by, you'll see all the lineup of electric buses for First Bus in their biggest Glasgow terminal. So we'll just wait in this line here, see if we can get through without putting our foot down. I think we can. And there's a red light. So here we are. The sun tonight is fantastic. There's not a cloud in the sky. Well, there's some clouds over there, but right above me, completely clear. Although it was raining earlier today. I'm sure they say this everywhere, but they definitely say it in Glasgow. If you don't like the weather, give it 20 minutes. And if the weather's too good for you, give it 20 minutes and we'll find some bad weather. So it does change on a regular basis. That little building on the left there, kind of tower, it's maybe only, 3 meters high, 1.5 meters wide. That used to be a newspaper seller way back in the day. So we're going from the Gorbals and across the motorway here, we're going into Cathcart. No, not Cathcart. It's Cathcart Road, but it's actually Govan Hill. Cathcart's much further up, so let's not say that. But this is Govan Hill. Let's see if we can squeeze through here. I don't think the bike is too fat to get past a couple of these cars. And we'll just stop here. Couldn't really ask for a nicer night. It has been raining, so the streets are pretty wet, but great night for a ride. Although the low sunshine does make it tricky if you were cycling. If you were biking into the sun, then that low sun can blind you a little. So I think you would want to avoid that at all costs. Here we go. So in case you're wondering, I'm just trying out this combination of 360 camera and wireless microphone to see how it records. And if it does record well, I'll make more videos of places that I go to on my scooter. If you're interested, this is a Honda Forza 350 scooter. No, it's not a hairdryer. It is very modern and quite nippy. Not a Vespa, not a Talambretta. It's a Honda. So we're coming up to here, Calder Street. Calder Street runs all the way from Polmadie. For anyone in the south side of Glasgow, you'll know this. Polmadie, where the dump is. And we should all go to the dump regularly and sort out your recycling. So Calder Street goes from there all the way through Govan Hill to Pollock Shields. It's one of the longest streets in Glasgow. And this area here, Govan Hill, Victoria Road, for at least 2 centuries has been the area where most new immigrants to Glasgow come and live. There's a big melting pot of people who live here, and over the decades and centuries, it's been Irish, it's been Jewish, it's been Polish, it's been Indian and Pakistani, and of course, in most recent years, a lot of people from Eastern Europe and Iraq. So there's a big mix still, people who live here or who have come from here. And actually, just to the right up there are some enormous, really fancy, almost mansions. Nice house down to the left as well. And immediately to the right, just behind these bushes, well, actually to the left was the original Scotland Stadium. Then it moved to a football ground, which is immediately to the right, which is now a bowling green, but was cut by a railway track before it moved to Hampden. And just a little bit further up, we'll be passing Hampden Stadium. So it's all in the nearest nearby vicinity. But the football club that hosts Hampden has always been Queen's Park. And Queen's Park are in the I think pretty much the bottommost part of the Scottish Football League, but at the same time, the landlords of the National Stadium. Very recently, however, the stadium was bought from Queen's Park, so it's now owned by the SFA, Scottish Football Association, and Queen's Park have a separate smaller ground just to the left of Hampden Stadium. And I'll show you that as we go past. So if I took a right at this turning here, which I'm not going to, but if I did, that would take me down to Battlefield. And Battlefield is called that because 250 years ago, there was a battle there, surprisingly, where Mary Queen of Scots' army, or supporters, had a battle with another army that was supported by the royal family in England. And a lot of the streets around here are named after people who were involved in that battle. But this whole area, as I say, was where the battles, where the soldiers were all camped. And in fact, if you went further up to the right, Camp Hill is one of the hills on the other side of Battlefield. So Queen's Park is over there as well. But yeah, this area here is where Mary Queen of Scots troops set off to head off against the other side and charging up the hill. Oh, here we go. So this is Cathcart Road. Cathcart Road winds around here. These are tenements that are about 130, 140 years old. A mix of red sandstone and blonde sandstone. And as we come down here, you see some very old churches. This church on the left, so I've not been in recently, but this church on the left on a Sunday, you'll see large numbers of black families going in there for their Sunday Mass. I'm going to take a short nip down here to the left because, as promised, this is Hampden Stadium. So this is, I think, the largest football stadium in Scotland. Oh, no, that's Celtic Park. Celtic Park holds 60,000 people. This holds, I think, 55,000. And the record here, before it was all-seater, way back, was something like 138,000 people in the stadium, which was the world record for a long time, and is still the European record for the number of people attending a football game. And that record was actually broken twice in the 1 week. One was a Scottish Cup game, another was an Old Firm game between Glasgow Celtic and Glasgow Rangers. So, going along to the left here, past the best chippy. How do we know it's the best chippy? Well, it says on the sign, so it must be. This is Carmunnock Road, which surprisingly heads south to the village of Carmunnock, about 3-4 miles away through the countryside. But I'm going to take a turning to the left here and up 3rd Avenue. Here we go. Watching out for kids with balls and games running across the street. It's pretty quiet. And this street was built around 120 years ago. These terraced sandstone houses.